Welcome to NDZ, Niagara Discussion Zone, where the topic is anything and everything. This show is not politically correct and there are no safe spaces. We're honest, we speak our minds, and if you get offended, that's too bad. Consider this your only warning.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tony Caruso here. Along with me is...
Andrew Little. How are you doing?
So, today we got lots to talk about. Andrew, did you see who was in Niagara Falls yesterday? Crooked Kathy.
Yes, the one that likes to blame people for her problems.
And especially saying that it's what? It's the families of Ontario. That is why she's introducing a carbon tax. It's the families of Ontario that she needs to raise the hydro rates and so on and so on. Whatever happened to their promise? I will not raise taxes, but I will not lower them.
Yeah, well, this is the nonsense that comes off of the current Ontario government. They've been rife with all kinds of scandals, from McGuinty now to Wynne. I mean, the only government that I can know of for quite a long time that's been investigated by the OPP and various other places, I think even the RCMP has investigated them. And they have the audacity to blame the price of hydro on families because supposedly we pollute too much.
Well, not only that, whatever happened under McGuinty's years, even in regards to the microfit program. Just for the viewers out there that don't understand what microfit is, it's about the green energy. If you want to put solar panels on your roof, if you want to put solar panels in your backyard, windmills if you have a farm, etc., etc., they were paying premium rates. I remember that I filed for a microfit for my property that I have in Port Colborne. So I was actually going to be putting some solar panels out there. So at the time, they were paying like 80 cents for kilowatt at the time. And now it actually dropped down to about 29 cents. So that actually reduced in cost of what the government was paying the people. So what I don't understand is, what is the point of having green energy? What is the point of giving out microfit contracts if we have already too much hydro that's going through our grids? Now, to my understanding, Andrew, in regards to our too much hydro, they're actually selling it to the Americans to next to nothing. What is the point of having a great resource like Niagara Falls that's producing so much hydro? I believe it's producing what, Andrew, 300,000 homes or something?
Well, there was an article that came out in the Financial Post April 27th. The OPG, which is the successor to Ontario Hydro, lets its water flow through its dams without producing power in an effort to limit the power overbuild. It covers its costs for lost revenue by charging the consumer in its rates. The company's spilled power has increased by 88% between 2013 and 2015.
Hold on, Andrew. You said increase, correct? You said increase, or did it decrease?
Increase. It has increased spilled power by 88% between 2013 and 2015, enough to power 330,000 homes last year. Now, this was written in April 27, 2016.
So this article is actually it's actually recent.
Yes.
So we actually are producing more hydro, but we're still paying an arm and a leg? Like, how does this make sense?
Well, for overbuild, you have too much power, it has to go somewhere. So unless they put up a whole bunch of collection cells, you have to send it somewhere. So they have to sell it dirt cheap to the States to get rid of it. Otherwise, it's going to be overloaded.
Okay, but I understand if it's going to be overloaded that way, but what we're not understanding here is we're overproducing on hydro. Why the heck are we paying an arm and a leg to turn on a switch?
I don't know. You know, most people only get as much as what they need, and then maybe a little bit extra just in case there's a higher usage for, like, for example, for summertime, people tend to use their hydro more for air conditionings and so forth.
Okay, but we're going back to supply and demand, okay? I can fully understand that if our demand is up there, but we don't have the supply. But this is actually like a 360, okay? We have way too much supply, but not enough demand. So because there's not enough demand, we need to raise the price. Like, this doesn't make sense whatsoever.
No. And you know what? There's a Huffington Post article in July the 21st that prices jumped 15.7% over the past year, according to Statistics Canada's Consumer Price Index. That's 8 times faster than overall inflation. So
Wow.
that's ridiculous.
No, it is. And you know what? If you take a look at even, you were talking about the OPG and even on the other Canadian hydro authority bodies, just take a look at their members. Half of them are almost on the sunshine list. So these guys are making close to $100,000 a year, while you got somebody else like the CEO was getting paid how much, Andrew? At least a few $1 million just for a wage.
Yeah.
And we're not even discussing their budgets that they're allowed to spend too on top of their wage. It makes absolute no sense that, you know what, if the taxpayers are paying so much money in regards to taxes or paying so much money in regards to our hydro, that these big shots deserve that kind of a wage. I'm sorry, but if the average family is suffering, there is no business for these people to get paid over $100,000 a year when you have the unemployment rate for the Niagara region that's extremely high. You can actually hire somebody over here for about $70,000, $60,000. You know how many people would love to take a job like that?
I just don't understand, because if it's that high up, why do they keep building all these new windmills and solar plants to add to the grid that's already having problems with trying to get rid of it? And then, of course, all those gas plants. There was a nice little scandal over it, even. So,
and yet the taxpayers of Ontario, look how intelligent that they are. Let's vote them in again for a majority government. Now the people of Ontario, they're all complaining. They're all upset, saying, "Oh my God, our hydro bill's going up. We're going to be getting carbon tax." But you know what? Let's vote them in as a majority.
Yeah, I don't understand it either, especially with all the scandals.
No, with all the scandals that they received. I'm sorry. Plus, with all the increases, I don't understand how the population voted in for a majority. So, unfortunately, we're getting what we deserve.
Well, yeah.
And what about this carbon tax now? So, how does this carbon tax actually work?
Okay, so I got this from the Globe and Mail, according to in the October 9th Globe and Mail. Ottawa will impose a $10 a ton carbon price on provinces and territories that don't adopt their own carbon tax or cap and trade plan. The prices will go up $10 a year for the following years. However, Ontario, Quebec, Alberta, and BC already have their own carbon pricing plans. Now, here's the funny thing. All revenue generated by the national carbon price will be returned to the provinces and territories. Environment Minister Catherine McKenna says that they can use the money for whatever they want. My question is, what's the point of forcing provinces to tax its own citizens if they don't want to in the first place?
No, and that part does not make sense at all. Like, seriously, so you're taking a fee or you're taking a tax from us, but yet, you know what, we're going to give it back to you. How does that make sense right now?
I don't know. And it's fun. Saskatchewan Premier Brad Wall is challenging that. But you know what's funny? Even the Liberals are challenging that. You have Liberal Environment Minister of Nova Scotia, Margaret Miller, Liberal Environment Minister of Newfoundland, Perry Trimper. They were all annoyed with that. They actually walked out of a meeting during the time that it was introduced. And then you have NDP Premier Rachel Notley. Now, you know how she's very in support of Trudeau lately. Mm-hmm. But even she can't support that. She said she can't support that without the pipeline progress, because she wants to have a pipeline. So he's rapidly losing support with the provinces and his Liberal allies.
And it makes no sense, again, because we're raising our taxes. They're raising our carbon, the carbon tax that they're going to be introducing in January, plus another increase for hydro. I don't understand this, Andrew, but this economics, when I took it at Brock University on economics, this is not going to be helping out our province at all. there's not going to be growth here at all.
Of course not.
Where you have more taxes, so you're bleeding the taxpayers more dry, and yet there's going to be no growth, and you're going to be raising what, the minimum wage too? We're already seeing the economic effects right now. Go to the dollar store where you used to buy a chocolate bar for 75 cents. It's now $1.25. They actually raised their prices. So you're trying to tell me this is something very good for Ontario. This carbon tax is very good for Ontario. The increase of hydro is good for Ontario. The gas at the pumps is good for Ontario. No, it's not. It's good for your own pocket, Crooked Kathy.
Yeah. Every person that's taken economics knows that every time you impose a tax on businesses, they will either pass it on to the consumer as cost of doing business, or they'll just shut down and move to another area where they could be competitive. Now that's the more international type businesses, and I mean you're starting to see that with the industrial sector. They're moving to China, they're moving to Mexico, and other places. The smaller businesses, if they can't afford it, they'll just simply shut down, and anybody that was working for them, they're now out of a job.
Well, here's a suggestion, Andrew. If just going back to the hydro, you were talking about that there's too much excessive hydro on the grid. Well, for Crooked Kathy and her government, how come they do not bring the GO trains to Niagara Falls that was promised? And there you go. You can use the excessive hydro that can go towards the GO trains as it should be.
Well, yeah, they did say that they want to electrify it eventually, but I mean they're too busy. They are actually more in debt. We are more in debt as a province than the state of California, which has a lot more people in it. Can you believe that nonsense?
That's sad.
Yeah, so even if we do start the electrification already, it's going to cost us. I mean, look how much waste she's done. She spent $308 billion on the cancelled modernization of the Ontario Lottery Gaming Corporation. She canceled the Ontario Retirement Pension Plan that she said she was going to bring in, which was a mistake to begin with. But nevertheless, it cost $70 million. And then let's not forget about the $1 billion on the canceled gas plants. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. The amount of money that she spent, oh, and let's not forget the cost overruns for the Pan Am Games. The amount of money that she has wasted on stuff, she could have easily improved the infrastructure to get all the cantonair systems and on the railway tracks all over the place that she wants for all the GO trains. Easily. Not also that, there was some discussion about the seaway, whether they would have to build a bridge over the seaway or not, and that was going to cost $1 billion. I mean, the amount of waste that's been done easily could have paid for that bridge if it was necessary.
And it's only getting worse from here.
Yeah.
Wow. And how much more time do we have of this? Another 2 more years? I just hope that the taxpayers of Ontario is realizing this. And let's hope they don't make the same mistake come in the election, 2 more years from now, I said?
Yes.
Wow. You know what? Too bad it can't come any sooner. I wish residents can put a non-confidence vote at her, and that's it. Because she has not been an asset to the province of Ontario since she was first appointed as premier, then elected.
And Trudeau's not exactly winning any friends either.
Well, what Trudeau's doing is basically, you know what, everybody, just pay your carbon tax because I got to take all this money, all this revenue that I'm generating it, and let's go give it to other countries in the world so I can make my image look amazing. But yet again, his own citizens are starving, his own citizens are having a hard time paying the bills while he's going around just throwing our dollars away to other countries, supposedly helping them out, and yet we're the ones that desperately need it.
Yeah. You know, if you'd actually spend a little bit of time and actually doing some research and understanding the problems and less time taking selfies with every single Tom, Dick, and Harry out there, maybe you would actually appreciate that the average citizen is having some problems, and maybe you shouldn't just tax the crap out of people, especially when the economy is I mean, look at us. This was from a CBC article in March. St. Catharines, Niagara area, for example, has the highest unemployment rate in Ontario and second highest in Canada at 8.5%, with Montreal beating us at 8.7%.
Wow.
Now, that's according to Statistics Canada. Look how high we are for that.
And it's only getting higher.
Yes.
Wow. Andrew, like the philosophy goes, in order for Canada to function, actually, let's talk about Ontario. In order for Ontario to function as a province, and by experience and by research, they say that if the province of Ontario is conservative and we have a liberal federal government, that was actually the best of times for Ontario because we actually flourished a lot. Now that we both have two liberal governments running everything, it's actually putting us in a lot of debt. It's actually making the NDP look like saints when they got power in Ontario.
Well, you can say what you want. Chrétien was mature enough as a leader to understand the do's and don'ts of what you can do realistically. And Paul Martin, he's the CEO of a major shipping company, so he has the maturity of leadership to understand. Trudeau doesn't have anything. He's used to be a part-time drama teacher. What kind of leadership experience does he have to run a country? But for some reason or another, they thought it was a great idea to make him prime minister. And now we're having the problems that we're having because he just doesn't have what it takes to be mature and make sound policy decisions.
And there is no policy decisions. If you take a look at Trudeau, he's got that nice little looks of his, and he thinks looks is going to be fixing our policies nice. Unfortunately, we need strong leaders, and we need policies that actually work for all of Canada, not worldwide. Take care of the problems at home first before you actually start trying to be a great international leader, because he's not even being a national leader right now. We need a leader right now. We do not need carbon tax. We do not need higher hydro rates. We actually need infrastructure. And just take a look at our streets. You know what I mean? It's becoming bad now. We're looking like Niagara Falls, New York pretty soon with our streets.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And I keep hearing them saying that they need to invest and do all kinds of stuff to improve the carbon footprint. Yet look how long it took for us to get the GO train. So poor Niagarans, they have to take the bus, which incidentally is a carbon user because it goes on the road. So, I just don't take what they say very seriously. Because
you can't.
It's do what I say, not as I do. That's the impression I get with these people.
No, it's nuts. Oh, well, until next week, everybody, this is our little rant on Crooked Kathy visiting Niagara Falls. When she was here, she had a lot of protesters. And you know what, Andrew? I just got to say one more thing. Her being here, you had to pay, what, $40 or $45 to see Crooked Kathy? Are you kidding me? So you know what? Those things are so set up, you have no idea. People say to me, "Oh, Tony, no. This is the real deal. She's going to be answering questions, Tony." Or better yet, Tony, it's not us setting it up, not us, the party. This is actually the chambers. Well, you know what, Andrew? And I think you could be my witness to this. When Michael Ignatieff came to St. Catharines, we both were invited as guests, as being the youth. You were the president of SAC at the time, and I was the ambassador at Niagara College, and you were the president of Niagara College.
Yeah, the Niagara College.
The student union. So we went over there on official business, in my opinion. We both had questions to ask in regards to the students. You remember that day, Andrew? Everybody got to ask questions, but who were these people? These people were already politicians. These people were liberals and the high-ranking party officials. When it was our turn, the only youth to speak that day, they did not allow us to ask a question saying, "What are you going to be doing for the youth of Canada?" Do you remember that day, Andrew, with Michael Ignatieff?
Yeah, I remember listening to him rant and rave about stuff.
And they did not allow us to speak. So you're trying to tell me that when Crooked Kathy came to Niagara Falls to give her little speech or question and answer sessions, give me a break. Because to me, that was already staged. And to me, not anyone was allowed to ask questions. That was all pre-screening garbage. So you know what? She needs to get back in her little van. That's causing more carbon, causing more pollution. Go drive back to Toronto because we don't want you here.
Well, it's funny, the amount of nonsense that I hear from the Ontario legislature. I wonder how much carbon footprints is being caused when they get up in question period and so forth and talk nonsense all day.
Oh my! And I bet you any money there's no carbon monoxide meters in there, because if there was, it would be going off nonstop.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to take this time to thank you all for listening and tune in for next week.
All right, take care, everybody.
Bye bye.